Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's story is full of twists, betrayal, and a final showdown that no one saw coming. Stay tuned until the end because this one is wild. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like. It really helps out. And don't forget to leave a comment below. What would you have done in this situation? Now let's get into it. Logan, 38M, had the perfect life. A stable marriage, a beautiful home, and a close circle of friends. Among them was his best friend Derek, 39M, and Derek's wife Emily, 37F. Practically family. For years, their bond was unbreakable. Vacations together, weekly dinners, their kids growing up side by side. Until one night, Logan discovered a hidden betrayal that shattered everything. His wife, Jessica, 36F, had been having an affair with Derek. They weren't just sneaking around. They were planning their future together behind his back. And worse, they were using a therapist to figure out how to break it to him gently. They were never going to tell him the truth. But Logan wasn't about to let them win. He was going to burn their perfect little world to the ground. Part 1. The Lies Unravel. It all started with a single email. Jessica had left her laptop open. Logan wasn't snooping, he just happened to walk by. But what he saw froze him in place. An email to her therapist. Derek will be joining me again for my next session. Logan's stomach dropped. Why the hell was his best friend going to therapy with his wife? He needed proof. And once he started digging, he found it all. Hundreds of texts a day. Late-night calls. Meetings at hotels. And the worst part? While Logan and Emily sat at the same dinner table with them, laughing and drinking, Jessica and Derek were texting each other across the room. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. The betrayal was right in front of him the entire time. Part 2. The Confrontation. Logan confronted Jessica that same night. He didn't scream. He didn't throw things. He simply pulled out the printouts of their texts and emails. Her face went pale. And then she confessed. It just happened, she whispered. I don't know how, but I love him. And I don't feel anything for you anymore. Logan's world shattered. But he wasn't the only victim. Because Jessica and Derek had already made their plans. They were going to leave him and Emily. They had it all figured out except for one thing. Logan wasn't just going to sit back and let them destroy his life. They were about to regret everything. Part 3. Revenge begins. Derek was obsessed with his public image. A rising figure in the community. A proud member of the school board. Jessica? She was about to be promoted to an administrative position in the school district. A job she had spent years working for. Logan knew exactly where to strike. He created a fake persona. A mysterious friend who knew about their affair. And then, he planted a seed. Rumors began circulating. Whispers spread among colleagues, parents, and board members. It didn't take long before Derek had to confess the affair. Publicly. The school board was furious. And Jessica? Her promotion? Gone. Her reputation? Ruined. The people who once respected her turned their backs. And Logan? He watched as their world fell apart. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Part 4. Humiliation. Derek resigned. Jessica had to walk into work every day knowing that everyone was talking about her. Their picture-perfect fantasy world was crumbling. Emily, now knowing everything, left Derek for good. And as for Logan, he made sure Jessica and Derek knew one final thing. The mystery friend that exposed them? It was him. Logan orchestrated everything. Jessica collapsed into tears when she found out. Derek vanished from the public eye. And just like that, Logan won. Part 5. The past never stays buried. For months later, Logan thought it was finally over. He was ready to move on. Until he got a message. An unknown number. Logan, we need to talk. It's about Jessica. His blood ran cold. What the hell could she possibly want now? Part 6. The call that changed everything. Logan stared at his phone, his heart pounding. The text sat there, taunting him. Logan, we need to talk. It's about Jessica. He had blocked her number months ago, cut her out of his life completely. But this This wasn't from Jessica. He hesitated. Then he called. A deep voice answered. Logan, it's Ethan. Logan froze. Ethan was Jessica's brother. They hadn't spoken in years. What do you want? Logan said coldly. There was a pause. Then Ethan said something that made his blood run cold. It's about Derek. He's not done with you. Part 7, A Dangerous Game. Logan sat in silence, gripping the phone tighter. What do you mean? Ethan exhaled sharply. Jessica came to me last night. She's a mess. She's scared. And she's saying Derek isn't who we thought he was. Logan clenched his jaw. Jessica lost everything because of him, Ethan continued. She told me he's not just angry, he's looking for revenge. On both of you. Logan almost laughed. Revenge? He did this to himself. Ethan sighed. Yeah. Well, tell him that. Logan leaned forward, rubbing his temples. Derek is obsessed, Logan. He's convinced you're the reason his life is ruined. Jessica says he's spiraling, drinking, saying shit that doesn't make sense. And she swears he's been following her. Logan's stomach tightened. Derek was a liar, a manipulator, a coward. But was he dangerous? Part 8, The Warning. Ethan lowered his voice. Jessica's begging me to talk to you. She says he's coming for you next. Logan let out a bitter laugh. She's worried about me now? After what she did? Ethan sighed. Look, man, I don't care about her either. But I do care about my nephew and niece. And I know you care about your kids too. I don't want them near this mess if Derek does something stupid. Logan's mind raced. He had already destroyed Derek's reputation, taken everything from him. But had he pushed him too far? You think he'd actually come after me? Logan finally asked. Ethan hesitated. I don't know, but if I were you, I'd be watching my back. The line went dead. And Logan? For the first time since this all started, he felt afraid. Part 9. A Shadow in the Dark. That night, Logan couldn't sleep. Jessica was a liar, a manipulator. But Ethan? Ethan wasn't like her. He wouldn't just make this up. Still, Logan told himself it was paranoia, until he saw the car, parked down the street, engine running, a figure inside, not moving, just watching. Logan's pulse spiked. Was it him? Was it Derek? Or was this just another mind game? Part 10. The Man in the Car. Logan stood at his window, staring at the car parked down the street. It had been there for over an hour. Not moving, not leaving. His pulse hammered. He reached for his phone, hesitating before dialing Ethan's number. Ethan picked up on the second ring. Logan, there's a car outside, Logan said, his voice low. Someone's watching my house. Ethan swore under his breath. You sure it's him? Logan exhaled. I don't know, but I'm not waiting to find out. He grabbed his jacket and walked to the front door. Part 11, The Confrontation. Logan stepped outside, his breath visible in the cold night air. The car didn't move. His heartbeat pounded as he walked toward it, step by step. Halfway there, the headlights flicked on, blinding him. Logan shielded his eyes, stopping in his tracks. The car's engine roared to life, and then it peeled away. Tires screeched as it sped down the street and vanished into the night. Logan stood frozen, his fists clenched. Whoever it was, they didn't want to be seen. And that made it worse. Part 12. The phone call that changed everything. The next morning, Logan was running on no sleep. Every sound, every shadow, his paranoia was growing. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. Silence. Then a voice. You should have left it alone, Logan. His stomach dropped. It was Derek. You ruined my life, Derek continued. Now, I'm going to ruin yours. Logan clenched his jaw. You did that yourself, Derek. Derek chuckled, low and cold. You don't get it, do you? He whispered. This isn't over. Not even close. Then the line went dead. Logan stared at his phone. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was a warning. And he had no idea what was coming next. Part 13, The First Attack. That night, Logan locked his doors. checked the windows twice. He wasn't taking any chances. At 2 a.m., a loud crash shook the house. Logan jumped out of bed, heart racing. He grabbed the baseball bat from under his bed and rushed downstairs. The living room window was shattered. Glass everywhere. A brick lay on the floor. And wrapped around it, a note. Logan unfolded it, hands shaking. This is just the beginning. His blood ran cold. Derek wasn't just watching anymore. He was here. Part 14, Nowhere is Safe. Logan stood frozen, the note trembling in his grip. His mind raced. This wasn't an idle threat. This was a promise. He stepped over the shattered glass, his eyes scanning the street outside. Nothing. Whoever had done this was already gone. He gritted his teeth and picked up his phone, dialing Ethan. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then Ethan answered, his voice groggy. Logan? It's man. It's 2 in the morning. He's here, Logan whispered, gripping the phone tighter. Derek. He's watching me. Silence. Then Ethan's voice, suddenly awake and serious. I'm on my way. Part 15. The warning signs. By the time Ethan arrived, Logan had already swept up the glass, though his hands still trembled from the adrenaline. Ethan stepped inside, his eyes immediately scanning the room. Tell me everything. Logan handed him the note. Ethan's jaw tightened as he read it. He's escalating. No kidding? Logan muttered, running a hand through his hair. Ethan exhaled sharply. We need to call the cops. Logan shook his head. And tell them what? That my ex-best friend, who I helped expose, is throwing bricks through my window. He let out a hollow laugh. You think they'll care? There's no proof he did it. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then we get proof. Logan frowned. Ethan's eyes were sharp, calculating. We set a trap, he said. Logan's breath caught. Make him come to us, Ethan continued. And this time we catch him in the act. Part 16. Setting the trap. By the next night, everything was in place. Logan had replaced the broken window. The house looked untouched, normal. But it wasn't. Ethan had set up hidden cameras in the front yard, the backyard, and inside the house. They even placed a fake security sign on the lawn, just to throw Derek off. All Logan had to do? Wait. And so he did. He sat in the dark, staring at the front door, bat in hand, heart pounding. Every creak, every shift of the wind, every distant car. He listened, waited, and then, 3:14 a.m. A noise. Logan's pulse spiked. Someone was outside. A shadow moved past the window. Then the doorknob turned. Part 17. Face to face with the past. The lock held, but the sound of someone trying to get in made Logan's skin crawl. He could hear breathing. Shallow. Slow. The cameras were rolling. Ethan was in the next room, watching everything on his phone. Then Logan's phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. He's at the back door too. Logan's blood turned ice cold. Derek wasn't alone. Logan gripped the bat tighter. He forced himself to take slow, steady breaths. This was exactly what they needed. They just had to wait, and then catch him in the act. But before they could do anything, a loud crash echoed through the house. Logan spun around. Someone had just broken in. Part 18. The breaking point. For a split second, Logan couldn't move. His mind screamed at him. Do something. He darted toward the hallway, his heart hammering. Footsteps. Heavy. Fast. Coming straight for him. Ethan was already moving. He burst out of the side room, his phone in one hand, a flashlight in the other. Get the hell out of here, Ethan roared. The intruder hesitated, then bolted. Logan caught a glimpse. A hooded figure, sprinting toward the back door. Derek. But the second figure wasn't. Logan's stomach dropped. Who the hell was helping him? Part 19. The footage. By the time they reached the backyard, both men were gone. Vanished into the night. Ethan and Logan stood there, panting, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Ethan turned to Logan. Let's check the cameras. They rushed inside, pulling up the footage. And there it was. Derek clear as day. But the other person, when they got a good look, Logan's heart stopped. Because the second figure was someone he never expected. Someone he knew. It was his wife's brother. Part 20. The betrayal runs deeper. Logan stared at the screen, his pulse hammering in his ears. His brother-in-law, Jason. This wasn't possible. Jason had always been the peacemaker, the one who stayed out of the family drama. Why the hell was he sneaking around with Derek in the middle of the night? Ethan rewound the footage, zooming in. That's him, he muttered. No doubt about it. Logan's hands clenched into fists. This isn't just about revenge anymore, he whispered. Something else is going on. Ethan's eyes stayed locked on the screen. Yeah, he said slowly. And I think it's time we find out what. Part 21. Confrontation or deception? Logan's first instinct? Storm over to Jason's house and demand answers. But Ethan grabbed his arm. Think for a second, he warned. You go over there now, you'll tip him off. Logan ground his teeth. Then what do we do? Ethan leaned back, arms crossed. We play along. Logan frowned. Play along. Ethan smirked. You want to know what they're planning? Let's give them exactly what they want. Part 22. The setup. For the next few days, Logan and Ethan made one thing clear: they acted normal. No sudden movements. No changes. If Jason and Derek were watching, they couldn't know that Logan was onto them. Meanwhile, Ethan dug deeper. He started tracking Jason's movements. Where he went. Who he met. And it didn't take long before they found something disturbing. Jason had been meeting someone else. A woman. And when Ethan finally snapped a picture of her, Logan nearly dropped his phone. It was his ex-wife. Part 23. What the hell is going on? Logan's mind spun. His ex-wife, Jenna, had left him over a year ago. She claimed she was done with the drama, that she wanted to move on. So why the hell was she meeting with Jason? And more importantly, why was she also meeting with Derek? Ethan rubbed his chin, studying the photo. Looks like she never really left, huh? Logan's stomach churned. This is bigger than I thought, he muttered. Ethan nodded. And it's about to get a hell of a lot bigger. Part 24. The hidden connection. Logan and Ethan needed answers, fast. So they started digging into Jenna's past year. Where she'd been. What she'd been doing. And the more they uncovered, the worse it got. She never really moved out of town like she said. She had been staying off the radar, using different addresses, moving constantly. But why? And then Ethan found it. A hidden bank account. Over $250,000 sitting in it. And the deposits? They started just weeks after she left Logan. Logan's breath caught. Where the hell did she get that money? Ethan's jaw tightened. Better question. Who gave it to her? Part 25. The call that changed everything. Logan was done waiting. He pulled out his phone and called Jason. It rang twice. Then he picked up. Logan. Jason sounded surprised. What's up? Logan kept his voice steady. Hey man, I need to talk to you. In person. A slight pause. Sure. About what? Just some family stuff. Logan lied smoothly. Come by my place tonight. Jason hesitated. Then, all right. See you then. Logan hung up. Ethan smirked. Think he'll actually show? Logan's lips curled into a smirk of his own. He has no choice. Part 26. The meeting that changed everything. That night, Logan and Ethan were ready. The cameras were rolling. The mics were hidden. And when Jason finally walked through the door, Logan greeted him like nothing was wrong. Hey man, Logan said casually, handing him a beer. Glad you came. Jason took it, eyeing Logan carefully. Yeah, what's this about? Logan sat down, pretending to be relaxed. Just wanted to catch up, he said. We don't really talk anymore. Jason exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, I guess. Logan took a sip of his drink, keeping his expression neutral. But you know what's weird? He said, tilting his head. I saw Jenna the other day. Jason froze. His grip on the beer bottle tightened. Jenna? He said, forcing a chuckle. I thought she moved away? Logan leaned in, his eyes sharp. Yeah, so did I. Jason's face paled. And that's when Logan knew. He was hiding something. Part 27. The slip-up. Ethan, watching from the other room, sent Logan a text. Keep pushing. Logan kept his tone casual. I mean, it's crazy, right? He said. She just up and disappeared. And now she's back? Hanging out with you? Jason's jaw clenched. Who told you that? Logan raised an eyebrow. Didn't have to. I saw you. Jason stiffened. Bingo. Logan leaned forward. Tell me, Jason, what the hell is really going on? Jason opened his mouth, then shut it. His eyes darted to the door, like he was thinking about running. But Logan wasn't about to let that happen. He stood up, blocking Jason's path. You're not leaving, he said calmly. Jason swallowed hard. Then, he finally broke. Fine, he muttered. You want the truth? Logan didn't blink. I already know the truth. He folded his arms. I just want to hear you say it. Jason exhaled sharply. Then, with a look of pure guilt in his eyes, he told Logan everything. Part 28. The truth comes out. Jason ran a hand through his hair, avoiding Logan's gaze. You were never supposed to find out, he muttered. Logan didn't move. Find out what? Jason finally looked at him. Jenna didn't just leave you, he said quietly. She was paid to leave. Logan's breath hitched. Paid? Jason nodded. She took the money and ran. And Derek? He's the one who set the whole thing up. Logan's mind reeled. Derek had orchestrated everything? His best friend had paid off his wife to leave him? Why? Logan demanded. Jason hesitated. Then he whispered. Because he wasn't after Jenna, Logan. He swallowed hard. He was after you. Part 29. The game was rigged from the start. Logan felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Derek had been after him? Not Jenna. Not just some petty revenge for past drama. No, this was something bigger. He could see it in Jason's eyes. There was more. And whatever it was, Jason wasn't saying it yet. Logan's mind raced. He thought back to every single detail from the past few years. Derek had always been there, but never in a way that made him suspicious. He wasn't overbearing. He wasn't pushy, but he was always close enough. A friend, a mentor, a constant presence in Logan's life. And now, suddenly, it all felt orchestrated, like a game had been played right under his nose. And he had been the pawn. Part 30. The lies begin to crack. Logan leveled his gaze at Jason. You're going to tell me everything, he said, voice low and steady. Jason shifted uncomfortably. Logan, Now. Jason exhaled sharply, then ran a hand through his hair. I didn't want to be involved in any of this, he muttered. But you were. Jason flinched. I didn't have a choice. Logan narrowed his eyes. There's always a choice. Jason hesitated, then finally muttered. Not when your family's on the line. Logan's jaw clenched. His family? Start from the beginning, he demanded. Jason sighed. And then he finally told Logan the truth. Part 31. A betrayal years in the making. It started about 4 years ago, Jason admitted. Derek came to me with an offer. Logan stiffened. What kind of offer? Jason hesitated. Then he met Logan's gaze. The kind you don't turn down. A cold chill ran down Logan's spine. He said he could make all my problems go away, Jason continued. My business was failing. I was drowning in debt. And then Derek just appeared, like a damn savior. Logan's stomach twisted. And you took the deal. Jason nodded. I didn't know what it meant at the time, he said quietly. But by the time I figured it out, it was too late. Logan's hands curled into fists. Derek doesn't just give out favors, he muttered. Jason's expression darkened. No, he admitted. He doesn't. Part 32. The web of control. Logan leaned forward. What did he ask for in return? Jason let out a bitter chuckle. At first, nothing. Logan's eyes narrowed. That's bullshit. Derek doesn't do charity. Jason sighed. Yeah, well, that's what I thought too. But he told me I'd pay him back when the time was right. And when was that? Jason swallowed hard. A year ago. Logan stiffened. Around the time Jenna left. Jason nodded slowly. Logan's pulse pounded in his ears. Jason, tell me the truth. Was her leaving part of the deal? Jason looked down. Yes. Logan's world tilted. Jason exhaled shakily. Derek paid her to leave Logan. He made sure she took the money and disappeared. Logan's breath came short and sharp. This was never about Jenna. This was about control. Derek had orchestrated everything. Down to the exact moment Logan's life would start falling apart. And Logan had played right into it. Part 33. The next move. Logan forced himself to breathe. Jason had been pulled into Derek's world long before Logan ever suspected anything. But the question was why? Why had Derek done all of this? Why destroy Logan's marriage? Why manipulate his entire life? And more importantly, what the hell was coming next? Jason shifted. Logan, listen to me, he said urgently. You need to stop digging. You need to walk away. Logan barked a laugh. Walk away. Jason's face was pale. Derek doesn't lose, he whispered. You have no idea what he's capable of. Logan held Jason's gaze. Then I guess it's time we find out. Part 34. A dangerous decision. Ethan was waiting outside when Logan left. One look at Logan's face and Ethan knew. What did he say? Logan climbed into the car, staring out at the night. He confirmed it. Ethan exhaled sharply. Derek planned all of this. Logan nodded. And now? Logan turned to his friend, eyes burning with determination. Now we take him down. Part 35. The first strike. Logan and Ethan spent the next week gathering information. Every connection, every deal. They mapped out Derek's entire network. And then they found the weak link. A man named Robert Hale. Derek's right-hand man. His fixer. The guy who made problems disappear. And more importantly, a man with his own secrets. Ethan smirked. If we flip Hale, he said, Derek falls. Logan's jaw tightened. Then let's make sure he talks. Part 36. The meeting with Hale. Robert Hale was a hard man to track down. But Logan and Ethan weren't exactly playing fair. They cornered him at a private club. A place where deals were made and debts were settled. Hale sat across from them, expression unreadable. You've got 5 minutes, he said coolly. Logan leaned forward. We know about Jenna. Hale didn't blink. We know Derek paid her to leave, Logan continued. Silence. We know everything. Finally, Hale exhaled. And what do you want from me? Ethan grinned. We want to know what Derek's next move is. Hale studied them. Then he gave a small, amused chuckle. You really don't know, do you? Logan's stomach turned. Know what? Hale leaned forward, lowering his voice. Derek isn't done with you yet. Logan swallowed hard. What does that mean? Hale smirked. It means you were never just a target, Logan. His next words sent a cold chill down Logan's spine. It means you were always supposed to be part of the plan. Part 37. The truth beneath the surface. The moment Hale uttered those words, Logan felt his stomach drop. You were always supposed to be part of the plan. The air in the dimly lit club seemed to thicken. Logan exchanged a glance with Ethan, who had gone from his usual cocky smirk to a look of quiet calculation. Logan leaned forward. His voice was steady, but his hands clenched into fists beneath the table. What the hell does that mean? Hale simply smirked and sipped his drink, letting the weight of his words settle over them. He wasn't in a rush to answer. He knew he had them exactly where he wanted them. Desperate for information, hungry for the truth. You think Derek's playing chess against you, Hale said finally. But the truth is, you were never playing your own game. Logan frowned. What are you talking about? Hale set his glass down and leaned in, his voice dropping. You ever wonder why things in your life fell apart so perfectly? A cold chill ran down Logan's spine. Why Jenna left the way she did? Hale continued. Why your business took a hit? Why you started losing clients without warning? Logan's breath caught in his throat. because he had wondered. He chalked it up to bad luck, to stress, to his own mistakes. But was it possible that? His mind flashed back to the way clients had suddenly lost interest in working with him. The way deals mysteriously fell through just when he needed them the most. How his own reputation had started to take subtle hits. Little whispers here and there that he was difficult to work with, unreliable, too distracted with personal issues to be trusted with big projects. At the time, he thought it was just life beating him down all at once. Now, he wasn't so sure. "You're saying Derek's been orchestrating this for years," Logan said slowly. Hale shrugged. "Not just Derek." Ethan, who had been uncharacteristically silent, finally spoke up. His voice was sharp. His blue eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Then who else?" Hale tapped his fingers against the table, considering his next words carefully. "Derek's not working alone," he said. "Never has been. He's just the face of it. The man you see. But the real power, the people pulling the strings." He smirked. "You don't even know their names." Part 38, Shadows in the Dark. Silence stretched between them. Logan's pulse thundered in his ears. Hale was toying with them, dropping crumbs of information just to see what they would do with it. And Logan wasn't in the mood for games. "Enough bullshit," he snapped. "Who are they?" Hale exhaled, shaking his head. "Even if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Try me." Hale studied him, then reached into his pocket, pulling out a small USB drive. "This has everything," he said, sliding it across the table. "Names, transactions, deals made in the dark." Logan hesitated before grabbing it. Hale smirked. "I wouldn't check it at home. If Derek finds out you have this, you'll have bigger problems than a broken heart." Logan tucked the drive into his pocket. "And what about you?" he asked. "If Derek finds out you gave this to me." Hale let out a dry chuckle. "Oh, Derek already knows where my loyalties lie. I'm just keeping my options open." Logan clenched his jaw. A traitor to everyone. But at least for now, Hale had been useful. Logan and Ethan stood. "One last thing," Logan said. "Why me? Why did Derek want me involved?" Hale hesitated. Then, he met Logan's gaze and said, "Because you were always meant to replace him." Part 39, Rewriting the Rules. The drive home was silent. Logan gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. Ethan sat beside him, flipping the USB drive between his fingers. "You believe any of that?" Ethan finally asked. Logan exhaled through his nose. "I don't know." Ethan let out a low whistle. "Man, if this is real, it's real." Logan's voice was cold, firm. Ethan glanced at him, then smirked. "And what are we gonna do about it?" Logan's lips curled into a dangerous smile. "We're gonna play the game." Part 40. Opening the box. They parked in a secluded lot. No cameras. No prying eyes. Ethan pulled out a burner laptop and inserted the USB drive. A single folder appeared on the screen. Operation Succession. Logan's stomach twisted. Ethan double-clicked it. Files spilled out, hundreds of them. Documents, emails, transaction logs, and one video file. Ethan hovered the cursor over it. "You sure?" Logan's jaw tightened. "Play it." The screen flickered. Then, Derek's face appeared, and he was looking directly at the camera. "Logan." Derek's voice was smooth, calculated. "If you're watching this, that means you've figured out just enough to be dangerous." Logan and Ethan froze. Derek smirked in the video. "And that means it's time for you to make a choice." The screen glitched. Then, two words appeared. "Join or fall." Logan's pulse pounded. Ethan swore under his breath. "What the hell is this?" Logan clenched his fists. "This," he muttered, "is a declaration of war." Part 41. The Line Between Power and Ruin. The video ended, leaving only those two haunting words staring back at Logan from the screen. Join or fall. The silence in the car was suffocating. Ethan exhaled sharply. "Well, that's subtle." Logan didn't respond. His mind was racing, connecting pieces of a puzzle he didn't even realize he'd been part of. Derek had been orchestrating everything. The betrayal. The losses. Even Jenna leaving. It wasn't just a personal vendetta. It wasn't even about revenge. This was bigger. And Logan? He had just stumbled into the middle of a war he never asked to fight. Ethan turned to him. "What's the move?" Logan stared at the screen. His fingers hovered over the trackpad, itching to close the laptop, to erase the entire thing and pretend he never saw it. But he couldn't, because now, he needed to know everything. Logan opened another file. A series of bank transactions loaded onto the screen. Money moved in and out of anonymous accounts, shell companies, offshore banks, high-profile investments linked to names he recognized. Politicians, business tycoons, criminals. His stomach twisted as he scrolled through the names. Then he saw his own. Right there, buried in a list of financial records. Logan Wilkes. Transfer. $500,000. Status. Pending. The world seemed to tilt. "What the hell is this?" Logan muttered. Ethan leaned in, eyes scanning the screen. "Dude, that's you." "No shit." Logan clenched his jaw. "But I never received a damn dime." Ethan clicked on the transaction details. More information loaded, but the sender's name was redacted. "Somebody put that money in your name," Ethan murmured. "Like they were setting you up." Logan's pulse pounded. "Or," he said darkly, "like they were buying me before I even knew I was for sale." Part 42. The trap closes. Logan clenched his fists, a sickening realization settling over him. This wasn't just Derek playing games. This was years in the making. "Check the earliest transaction," Logan said, his voice low. Ethan scrolled. His expression darkened. "Shit." Logan followed his gaze. 2017 Logan Wilkes. Transfer. $250,000. Status. Complete. 4 years ago. Logan's heart stopped. That was the year he expanded his business. The year he got his first big contract. The year everything changed. Ethan looked at him. "Logan, where did you get the money to fund your startup?" Logan's mouth was dry. "It was a private investor. Anonymous." Ethan exhaled through his nose. "Yeah, you sure about that?" Logan wasn't. He had never questioned it. The money had come through legal channels, deposited into his business account. It was clean, untouchable. He'd assumed it was some venture capital firm that saw potential. Now he wasn't so sure. Because if that money had come from Derek's network, then Logan had been in their pocket this whole time. And worse, if someone found this, if it leaked that Logan had dirty money tied to crime syndicates, politicians, and offshore accounts, it wouldn't matter that he didn't know. He'd go down with the rest of them. His reputation, his business, his life. Ethan let out a slow whistle. "You're in deep, man." Logan's fists tightened. His knuckles went white. "No," he said coldly. "They think I am." Part 43. A deal with the devil. Logan shut the laptop. His mind was a battlefield, a war between fury and strategy. Ethan studied him. "So what now?" Logan took a slow breath. "We meet Derek." Ethan snorted. "Yeah, sure. Let's just walk into the lion's den." "Sounds smart." "We don't have a choice." Logan tapped the laptop. "Derek didn't just set me up. He's been building me up. And now he's calling in his debt." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "And what happens when you don't pay?" Logan's jaw tightened. "They burn me." Ethan exhaled sharply, drumming his fingers against the dashboard. "All right, say we meet him. Say you play along. What's the endgame?" Logan's eyes hardened. "Endgame?" He shook his head. "This doesn't end until Derek's in the ground." Ethan gave a low chuckle. "All right then." He cracked his knuckles. "Let's burn this motherfucker down." Part 44. The invitation. It didn't take long. Logan sent a message to Derek. "Let's talk." An hour later he got a reply. "Tomorrow night. Midnight. You know where." Logan's stomach twisted. Yeah. He knew exactly where. It was where everything started. Part 45. Walking into the fire. Midnight. Logan and Ethan pulled up to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. Derek's power was built on shadows. The kind of man who never left a digital footprint, never used his real name when making deals. He operated like a ghost, staying just out of reach while pulling the strings of everyone around him. And tonight, Logan was walking straight into his web. Ethan parked the car and exhaled. Last chance to back out. Logan opened the door. Not an option. They stepped inside. The warehouse was cold, empty. A few dim lights flickered overhead. In the center of the vast space stood Derek. He was waiting, smiling. "Logan," Derek greeted, spreading his arms. "I was starting to think you wouldn't show." Logan's blood boiled. "Cut the bullshit," he snapped. "Tell me why I'm really here." Derek chuckled, stepping closer. "Because, Logan," he leaned in, "you're already one of us." Logan's breath caught. "No," he growled. "I'm not." Derek smirked. "Oh, but you are. You just haven't accepted it yet." Logan clenched his fists. Derek tilted his head. "The money that built your company? Ours. The deals that got you where you are? Ours." Logan's jaw tightened. Derek smiled. "So now, Logan, you have a choice." He gestured toward the darkness behind him. And suddenly men stepped forward, armed, waiting. Derek's smirk widened. "Are you in?" The air was electric. Logan's heart pounded. This was it. His next move would define everything. And there was only one way to win this game. Play along. Until it was time to strike. Part 46. The game begins. Logan's pulse pounded like war drums in his ears. Derek stood before him, flanked by his men, watching, waiting. He had played this game before. The illusion of choice. The kind where your options were laid out like an open hand, but in reality, the hand was already moving the pieces, guiding you exactly where they wanted you to go. Logan knew better. This wasn't a choice. It was a test. And if he failed, there wouldn't be a second chance. Derek smiled, a viper coiled to strike. "You're thinking too hard about this, Logan." Logan exhaled slowly, forcing his body to stay relaxed. Control the moment. Control the room. "If I was already one of you," he said, his voice smooth, controlled, "you wouldn't need me to answer, would you?" A flicker of amusement passed through Derek's eyes. Logan had his attention. Derek smirked. "Smart. But you're missing the point." He gestured to the men standing behind him, their weapons holstered but their presence unmistakable. "You don't get to pretend you're above this anymore. You're in the system, whether you like it or not." Logan's fingers curled into a fist at his side. Derek continued. "Now you could fight it. Try to prove some pointless moral high ground. But let's be honest." He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "You don't have the luxury of walking away." Logan kept his breathing even, calm, calculated. But inside, he was already planning. Derek thought he had him cornered. Thought he had stripped away every escape route. He was wrong, because Logan had one advantage. Derek underestimated him. And that was going to be his downfall. Part 47. A dangerous proposition. Logan tilted his head slightly, as if considering. "Fine," he said at last. "Let's say I'm listening." Derek grinned. "Good, because I have a job for you." A job. Logan had expected as much. Derek didn't bring people into his world unless he could use them. Derek gestured toward the far end of the warehouse. One of his men stepped forward, handing Logan a thin folder. Logan opened it. A name. A location. Derek's voice was calm, almost casual. "This man is a problem. I need him removed." Logan's blood froze. He had expected blackmail, extortion, a demand for loyalty. But this was a hit. He glanced at the photo inside the folder. A middle-aged man, well-dressed, stepping out of an office building. The name beneath it meant nothing to Logan, but the moment he saw the address, his stomach twisted. He knew that building. It was the headquarters of a major financial firm. Logan inhaled slowly. "And if I say no?" Derek shrugged. "Then I make the choice for you." The air was thick with tension. Derek wasn't bluffing. And Logan knew that if he refused, This wouldn't just be about him anymore. They'd go after Ethan, his business, his entire life. This wasn't just about control. It was about sending a message. Logan had no choice. But that didn't mean he was going to play by Derek's rules. Part 48, the countermove. Logan took another glance at the file, then snapped it shut. Fine, he said. I'll handle it. Derek's smile widened. Logan could feel Ethan staring daggers into his back. He knew what his friend was thinking. Don't do this. Don't let them win. But Logan had no intention of following through. Not the way Derek expected. The second he got out of here, he would find another way. A way to flip this entire game on its head. Derek seemed satisfied. Good. You'll hear from me soon. Logan nodded once and turned on his heel, walking toward the exit. Ethan followed, his silence louder than any words he could have spoken. Only when they were back in the car did Ethan finally explode. What the hell was that? Logan exhaled sharply. A stall. Ethan blinked. A stall? Logan, you just agreed to kill a guy. No, Logan said, his voice firm. I agreed to handle it. Ethan stared at him. And what exactly does that mean? Logan's jaw tightened. It means I have about 48 hours to figure out how to turn this entire thing back on Derek before he realizes I never planned to go through with it. Ethan let out a humorless laugh. So your plan is what? Lie to the most dangerous man we've ever met and hope he doesn't catch on. Logan's lips pressed into a thin line. Not hope. He met Ethan's gaze. Make sure. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. Man, I really hate when you get that look. Logan smirked. Good. Because we're about to burn this whole thing to the ground. Part 49, the setup. By the time they reached Logan's office, a plan had already started forming in his mind. The key wasn't to avoid Derek's job. That would make him look weak. The key was to flip the job back on him. Make Derek the target. Ethan sat on the couch, watching as Logan paced. So, what's the move? Logan grabbed his laptop and pulled up the name Derek had given him. Cross-referencing. Digging. Within minutes, his heart started racing. Oh, you son of a bitch, he muttered. Ethan leaned in. What? Logan turned the laptop toward him. The man in the file? The one Derek wanted gone. He wasn't just some random businessman. He was a former associate of Derek's. A man who had left Derek's network years ago. And the kicker? He was already under federal investigation. Logan grinned. This isn't just a hit, he said. This is Derek tying up loose ends. Ethan's eyebrows shot up. So what, we tell this guy what's happening? Logan nodded slowly. Not just him. He turned the laptop back around, typing rapidly. We tell the feds. Part 50, the endgame. By morning, Logan had already set everything in motion. A burner phone, an anonymous tip, a digital trail that led right back to Derek. By the time Derek realized what was happening, it would be too late. Ethan whistled low. You sure about this? Logan exhaled. Not even a little. But it didn't matter, because Derek had spent years pulling the strings. Now, Logan was cutting them. He leaned back in his chair, watching the clock. In less than 24 hours, Derek would be the one with his back against the wall. And Logan? He would finally be free. Or dead. But either way, he wasn't going down without a fight. Part 51, the final play. The clock ticked mercilessly as Logan watched the plan unfold. He had sent the anonymous tip, set the trap, and now all that was left to do was wait. Ethan sat across from him, tense but trusting. You really think this is going to work? Logan nodded, though his stomach churned. It has to. But Derek wasn't a fool. He was calculating, ruthless, and always 3 steps ahead. Logan knew that if anything went wrong, this wouldn't just end with Derek being arrested. It would end with both of them buried 6 feet under. The key was timing. They had to make sure the feds got involved before Derek realized what was happening. And that window was closing fast. Part 52. The first move. The next morning, Logan received a call. A blocked number. He answered, already knowing who it was. Logan. Derek's voice was calm. Too calm. I need an update. Logan forced his own voice to remain steady. It's handled. A pause. Handled. Yeah. The guy's already being watched. Logan lied smoothly. Taking him out now would be too risky. Derek was silent for a beat. Then a chuckle. Low. Amused. I knew you were smart, Derek said. But you're not smart enough to lie to me. Logan's pulse spiked. He knew. Somehow Derek had figured it out. And that meant Logan was officially out of time. Part 53. The Escape Plan. Logan hung up, turning to Ethan. We have to go. Now. Ethan's eyes widened. What? What happened? He knows. Ethan swore under his breath. Shit. What do we do? Logan was already grabbing the essentials: cash, fake IDs, weapons. We disappear. But before they could make it to the door, boom! The entire building shook as an explosion rocked the street below. Logan and Ethan hit the floor as shattered glass rained down around them. Car alarms blared. Smoke filled the air. And through it all, Logan knew. Derek had just made his next move. Part 54. Nowhere left to run. Ethan coughed, waving away the smoke. Holy shit, was that for us? Logan's mind raced. Not just us. That was a warning. Derek wasn't coming to negotiate. He was coming to finish this. They had minutes, maybe seconds. Logan's phone buzzed again. Blocked number. He didn't need to answer to know the message. Derek wasn't just sending a warning. He was hunting them. And Logan? He had just become the prey. Part 55. The Trap Within a Trap. Logan wasn't going to run. Not anymore. Derek thought he was chasing Logan down. But Logan had one final play. He turned to Ethan. You trust me? Ethan hesitated, then nodded. Always. Logan pulled out his second burner phone and made one last call. Not to the feds. Not to Derek. But to someone Derek never saw coming. A wild card. A ghost from Derek's past. And as the call connected, Logan allowed himself the smallest of smirks. Because Derek thought he was the predator. But by the end of the night, Logan would be the one taking him down. Part 56. The Final Showdown. The meeting was set. A neutral location. Abandoned warehouse. Classic. Derek arrived alone. No guards. No entourage. Just him. Logan stood across from him. Arms crossed. Mask of indifference in place. You know, Logan, Derek began, his voice smooth, casual. I had a lot of respect for you. Logan smirked. Funny. I had none for you. Derek chuckled. You really think you're walking out of this? Logan's grip tightened. You're the one who should be worried. Derek tilted his head. Why's that? Logan didn't have to answer. Because at that moment, the feds swarmed in. Part 57. The End of Derek Wolf. Red and blue lights flashed. Gunfire erupted. Derek didn't go down easy. But in the end, it was over. Logan watched as Derek was dragged away in cuffs, screaming. The empire he had built? Gone. The power he held? Crushed. Logan took a deep breath. It was finally over. Part 58. A New Beginning. Ethan clapped a hand on Logan's shoulder. So what now? Logan exhaled. Now? He looked up at the night sky, feeling lighter than he had in years. Now we start over. No more games. No more lies. Just freedom. And for the first time in a long time, Logan was ready for it. The end. And that's where we leave things. For now. What do you think? Did Logan make the right call? Should he have played it differently? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more crazy stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.